This episode is brought to you on Hawkstream, where you can find other podcasts like Music at the Dub, where Logan interviews musicians from all over the area.
Harper to get it in. Throws it to Ewing. Ewing surrounded. 2 seconds to shoot. He drives. He shoots. He missed. He missed. He missed. We ring the bell, baby. Ding dong. The witch is dead.
Takes the ball at the 30. He's hit and got away. Back upfield to the 35 to the 40. He's to the 45. He's to
Hawktalk. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Hawktalk with Easy and the Beards. I'm Easy.
I'm Beard number 2.
Beard number 1 is not with us today. Shout out to Mike. He is actually over in Vietnam catching the coronavirus. He's over there for a buddy's wedding, but shout out to Mike. He'll be back next week, and I'm sure we'll hear all about his trip, so look forward to hearing from him. But another very special guest. You guys know how it goes.
Very special.
Very, very special. Coach Burke, a friend of the show. You're actually the first guy we've had on twice now. So
yeah, great, man. That's big time.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, I'll hold that down for another week or so? You have to bring somebody else back.
Yeah, well,
Coach Hood will be up here in another month or so.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
He'll
say.
be in the swing of things.
Yeah, we just had him on actually last.
It's a really good one.
Absolutely, it was great to have him on. His MJ stories are something else.
They are really cool.
But yeah, we're glad to have you on. Kind of catch up. I know, kind of went over your background and stuff last time we had you on, so I know we can kind of get on into the meat of things and kind of what. There's been a lot of things that have changed,
right.
obviously,
no
since the last time we had you on.
No question.
I know when we had you on before, it was more of a kind of a breakdown of the roster, which your expectations were, kind of your role on the team, and I mean, everything's changed.
Yeah, it not just changed. It's turned upside down.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely, yeah.
You know, it has been a whirlwind of the last, I think we're going on 18 days now, somewhere around there, 20 days. It's been exciting. It's been emotional. It's been tough. This weekend was a tough road trip for us, but at the same time, it has been it's been really good for our guys just to kind of see some light at the end of the tunnel. We were in a bad spot. We really were. We're extremely young. 348 out of 353 teams in the country with youth and experience. I suspect losing Kai really affected that, and also losing Carter Skaggs at Thanksgiving affected that for us. And we got basically one guy on our roster that has played in any of these conference gyms that we've been to on the road. Ty Gatson being another guy. So two guys that have played, and everybody else, every road trip's brand new to them. And we've had some great success here in the first 5 games. We're 2-3 right now, and we got a big one Thursday night. Just trying to get back to 500 with what we've been doing the last 20 days. So if we can get to 3-3 Thursday night, it's us and Elon, a team that we owe a little something to, and we're excited about having the opportunity to get them down here in Trask and let them see what a real basketball arena looks like. They got a really pretty one up there, but from our fan base standpoint and how people cheer here, it's a totally different atmosphere.
Yeah, and Elon kind of signals kind of when that change started, really. I know you've talked about it a lot, but just kind of briefly too, just kind of talk about some things. Obviously, the losing,
right?
That plays a big part in it.
It does.
But kind of talk about what that transition was like now for you taking over the head spot and kind of being the guy in charge now.
It was nerve-wracking, to be honest with you. I mean, it was a bombshell. There's no question about it. Obviously, our administration and the university decided to go in a different direction, and I got thrown right into the fire. The biggest thing I had to do was quickly, because it happened so fast, I had to quickly come up with a vision for our team. And like, all right, here's 12 games left, guys. Here's 13 games left. We got to have some kind of vision and what we need to do with these last 6 weeks of the season and where we can get to. And then on top of that, how are we going to get there? How are we going to play? What are some things that we need to take advantage of? What are some things we need to adjust and try to make ourselves a better ball club? So that happened extremely quick, and I had to be myself. At the end of the day, I just had to be myself. Some people like it, some people don't. I've always gotten, I talk too much sometimes, which is fine. I mean, I get it. There's some people don't want to listen sometimes or listen to what I got to say, but at the end of the day, I got 22 years of experience, 6 as a head coach. I played for 2 different championships in my little head coaching experience, and I have 119 wins now, but I had 117 wins when I started. So I felt really good about just jumping back into the saddle. I had great support from our assistant coaches, Doug Esslick, Jackie Manuel, and Matt Lynch. We took Matt, and he's still doing both. He's doing ops, but we just threw him right into the fire, man. He needs some coaching experience, and if this thing goes well, great. If it doesn't, at least he got 6 good weeks of being on the floor, figuring out, like, hey, I got to try to recruit a little bit. I got to balance my other job doing the ops, which is really, really tough. And then he also just gets to get on the floor. And, he had the Towson Scout, which was my original scout. And I gave it to him, said, run with it, man. What you got in your bag? And he came up with a couple of good ideas. We didn't quite get to the chance to use his best idea, but, it just didn't play out the way we wanted it to play out. But there's been a lot of change. And to be honest with you, I just changed just to change because we were just in a bad rut mentally. And so we changed the way we start practice. We changed the way we stretch. We changed the way we travel. We changed the way we watch film. So just any little nuance I could change, I changed it just to change. Whether it would work or not was irrelevant. It was just about doing something different to try to get their mindset out of, oh, woe me, pity me, here we go again type attitude.
It seems to have worked they seem to have welcomed the change.
Definitely, they have. And I've been tough on them. I'll be honest with you. I feel like I have an old school mentality, but I feel like I can relate to millennials. And it's not old school, it's the right school. Playing the game the right way, doing things fundamentally sound, sharing the basketball, defending a certain way with a level of intensity and a level of toughness. And obviously this weekend we did not do that. But I feel like I can get that message across to our guys. And the one thing I will say about our players, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's the one thing we said when I had my individual meetings on Tuesday with each guy and Wednesday. Your well-being as a student athlete is my first and foremost concern. That I got to make sure I take care of you. And I don't care what happens, whether I'm the coach or you decide to leave, but you as a person is the most important thing. Take this basketball, throw it out the window. That's the most important thing. And I think that has helped some of our guys because they really see my passion for teaching, because I use it as a classroom. I mean, that floor out there, that film room, that's my classroom. And I expect our guys to kind of take it that way. And so that's a big thing that I've been pushing and trying to stay with. So, I mean, it's a lot, man. I tell you what, this morning I was in the office probably 8:15 and my mind just starts running, man. I'm scrambling. I'm writing things down. I was here late last night. I watched the first half with Super Bowl with some buddies, and then I had to come over here because it's, it doesn't stop, man. The games keep coming, the strategies keep coming, the ideas keep coming, and you gotta be ready to handle and deal with everything.
Well, and now too that you're in the position you are, does it almost feel like more? I mean, I know you barely got sleep before as an assistant, but now being the head guy, do you feel like there's even more pressure on you to make sure that you're the first guy in the gym or the first guy in the office doing that as well?
I'm an early riser, but now, like, what happens is your mind starts running a little bit earlier. So when, you lay it down at 11:30, 12 at night, by 4 o'clock, like, a thought will come to your mind. And as a head coach, it happened to me at Spartanburg Methodist. It would get late in the season, and I didn't have an assistant coach. I didn't have anybody to bounce anything off. I would call my dad here and there. And the one year he worked with me, but your mind just starts running. You can't cut it off. And then you just pop up and you're like, man, let me get a cup of coffee. You cut on your laptop a little bit. There's emails that are still to respond to. There's recruiting text messages you got to respond to. My phone is, the family, friends, everybody texting, calling, want to talk to you. Facebook Messenger, Instagram DMs. It's just so much. I couldn't handle all that, so I had to really try to figure out how to hone in on what I can control and what I can work with right away. And the biggest thing is just keeping your blinders on, keeping focused on the process, and try to win each individual day. And so that's been a big thing. But yeah, cutting your mind off, man, is a hard thing to do. It really is, because you got so many different. I want to do so many things in a short period of time, and when you have a regular season and you have the summer to prepare, you can space that thing out and you come up with a really good game plan. But this thing has been jam-packed for sure.
You mentioned Spartanburg Methodist, where you had coached previously as a head coach. Talk about some of those things you've carried over with you from there. you know, whether it's things that work, whether it's a mentality, things you kind of coach,
Yeah.
or some things too that just you can't even do. At
Yeah,
this
yeah.
level.
Mentality, definitely. Like everybody's against you. You know, at the junior college level, you're at the bottom of the pool. You're at the bottom of the pool, and you are trying to climb up. The kids are trying to climb up because they want a Division I scholarship. They want a Division II scholarship. Academically, you know, they struggled a little bit and just didn't qualify, or they just weren't good enough as a player, and they're chasing a dream. And I was doing the same thing. I was chasing where I'm sitting at today. I was chasing this dream. And so the mentality of like every single day you gotta chop wood, and you gotta do it with a great ability to have passion. You gotta do it with an understanding of this is a long window. This is a long trail we're going down, and we got to be ready for anything, any bump in the road. You know, back then I was eating bag lunches. We'd leave at 3:00 to go play a 7:00 game. It was a bus trip. We didn't have buses. We had 2 white vans. So you got a bag lunch, you got a bottle of water. That was your post-game meal. Each guy had 1 pair of shoes, 1 pair of practice gear. So those things obviously are different. But I want to kind of keep that hunger burning inside of me to chase this overall big dream. And I want that for our guys too. And so I try to simplify some things for them. And just at the end of the day, we got to go have some fun. Like the one thing we did at JUCO, we had some fun now. I mean, you know, I've come out, we've thrown a lob every single game. Like I tell the guys, I don't care if it goes in the bleachers. Like we're going to go out and throw a lob. And I don't care if the other team knows it's coming. We'll mix it up and try to catch them sleeping. It might not be the first possession. It might be the third now or fourth possession, but we're definitely going to do that. And that is keeping our guys loose and keeping them free and keeping them understanding that, hey, at the end of the day, really, this is the same game that you picked up the ball in the Y or you picked it up in the backyard. I play with all my buddies in the backyard. Like, I want to feel that way all the time. And so, you know, with Spartanburg Methodist, the experience of operating out of a timeout, the experience of being in a late game situation, baseline out of bounds. I mean, the very first night I'm coaching, we got the ball sideline out of bounds. And I knew on that first Tuesday, we had to come up with a game winner sideline out of bounds because we didn't have one. I knew we had to come up with a late full court play with 6 seconds to go to try to figure things out and make a play down the stretch. And what happens? They miss a free throw. We rush it down. Now, analytics tells you under 7, don't call timeout. Yeah. But I knew we didn't know what to do. We had no idea what to do. And so I knew we had practiced this play. And so I told Shad, bring it up. We're going to hit the timeout right in front of me, and we're going to come out and we'll run this sideline out of bounds play. And they executed it. Jalen took a tough shot, which is okay. I like the fact that he wanted the shot, but we executed that play. And so fast forward to JMU the other night. It's 1 minute to go, and we haven't run our what we call our late TO. So I didn't care that we were down 15. You're still battling to try to get ready for the tournament. That's the whole thing. Yeah. All you got to do is be good for 3 days in March if you can get to that 6th seed, which is part of our vision that I share with our guys. We're fighting to still try to get there. We had a chance on Saturday to get the 7th. Obviously, it didn't work out, but we're still going to get back up today and chop that same type of wood we've been chopping. But we ran late timeout, got it to half court. The guy knocked it out of bounds. They told us where the ball was at. I called timeout. We draw up another sideline out of bounds play. And just to keep staying in the process of you got to keep teaching this team. Every single day you got to keep teaching this team because, you know, they're a long way off, but they're not as far as everybody thinks they are and what our record says we are.
Well, and they're still so young. Every moment's a teaching moment.
No question. Right? No question. Because you want that. You want to be in a game, late scenario, and you know as confidently as a coach, like, we've been here before. We've executed here before. We're fine. And then that calming sensation you have as a coach comes across to your team. And, you know, the one thing I am loose with our guys. I try to keep a smile on our face. I get fired up and I get intense, but I think they understand that, hey, coach is really coaching me here and teaching me. So, but we're battling. Our guys are fighting hard. Like the other day, we didn't give up. We got down bad. We cut it to 13, I think it was. They called timeout. Everybody on the bench was fired up. And we've been in some holes before, and we've come back from, 12, 13 points down. So I feel good about our mindset and where we're at. I think we were a little tired. Obviously, Shaquem being out and not playing at all for us is a major, major blow because, like I said, we only got 1 point guard. So if there's anybody out there on campus that thinks they can play, come see me. I need a few minutes out of you.
Well, yeah, speaking about Shaquem, Can you give us a little bit of an update on him then going forward?
Yeah, he's in concussion protocol, so obviously Friday night he ran into another player and his cheekbone hit the guy's shoulder, and he took a pretty big shot. And so Saturday got up, was going to try to go through shoot around, and our athletic trainer Matt Parker's done a great job with this team and trying to keep everybody healthy. He just said, "Hey, coach, look, he doesn't feel good," and I get it. I like again. I said their well-being is the most important thing, so I'm gonna make sure first and foremost I take care of Shaquem Phillips, the person, and not put him in a situation where it's an unhealthy situation. So I think he woke up yesterday feeling a little bit better, and I haven't talked to him this morning, so I got to shoot him a text here pretty soon. But he'll meet with Matt again today. Probably going to be tough to get him back Thursday, but maybe Saturday. Just depends on how he feels, and we're going to make sure he's 100% healthy again because at the end of the day, we finished this thing with 3 home games, and that is going to be critical going into the tournament. And I want him for the long haul. I just don't need him for Thursday night. I need him for the rest of the season because he is integral to what we're doing.
Absolutely. And so you said, he hasn't officially been ruled out for Thursday,
right?
But you're saying
it's going to be tough. It really is. I won't ever rule him out. I mean, he might walk in there and say, "Hey, I'm playing," and he tells our trainer, "I'm playing." And if he feels great and the trainer says he's good to go, coach, then we'll throw him in there. But again, we're not going to put him in a jeopardizing situation for his health.
For sure. So then looking forward then to Thursday.
Yep.
Point guard situation, obviously without Shaquem, is going to be a little more up in the air. But can we expect kind of to see probably a combination of maybe Mike playing the point,
we got
Ty a little bit too?
Yeah, so we started Ty at the point, and we'll play Ty. He'll be our primary point guard. I kind of like BT up there a little bit. Brian Tolfree, I like Mike a little bit. Now, we did not have enough time to prepare, and so we turned the ball over 21 times on Saturday. I thought we played a little too fast and a little too erratic. We took way too many threes. We did not put enough pressure on their defensive liabilities, and that's one thing we're going to do with Elon. We're not going to run out there and jack up a bunch of threes. We are getting to the rim, and we're going to challenge guys at the rim, and we're going to be physical to take the ball to the cup, especially at home. It's what beat Northeastern. It's what helped us be in the game against Hofstra, and I think just we settled a little bit. I feel like we settled after I've watched some film, and we're not going to settle. We're going to get good Seahawk shots. I think, with Shaquem being out, we still got enough in that locker room. I've told everybody, we got enough pieces, man. You only need 8 guys. Nobody in this league is playing more than 8 or 9 guys. You look at Towson, they play 7. Yeah. You look at Charleston, they play maybe 8 on a good night. You look at Hofstra, they play 6. They sit in 2-3 zone for 40 minutes, and they play 6 guys, and 4 of them go get about 15 points a game, and somebody goes for 21 night. Northeastern, they play 6 or 7
guys, yeah.
And then you look at William and Mary. The 2 bigs are not coming out, and they play 3 guards, and they might sub 2 guys in. Yeah. So, that's the biggest thing is we got enough. What we can't do is not play smart basketball, and we can't give up offensive rebounds. And when I mean smart basketball, we can't turn the ball over. We've got to make good, sound decisions, and we got to keep people off the glass. I think we gave up 15 offensive rebounds at Towson, 13 to JMU. That's a lack of focus on our part, and that is something we have got to lock into.
Absolutely.
And I just want to talk about how important those home games are.
Yeah.
Out of the last 7 games, 5 of them are at
Huge.
home. So if you just want to go into that a little bit.
Yeah, it's this place is a magical place to play, man. As you saw against Hofstra, our fans came out, gave us unbelievable support. It gets really, really loud in there. And then again, Saturday night we did the same thing against Northeastern, came up with a big win. It's just, even though we were at Charleston, I love Charleston. I lived there for 6 years. It's a great place to live. That's a late arriving crowd. They take their time getting into the game, and with 4 minutes to go, it's a pretty loud place. But when you come into Trask, you feel it. You feel the energy. You feel our student body, our home fans, people that live here in Wilmington. There's nothing else to do here. As far as this time of the year, they know it's basketball season, and the tradition of what Seahawk basketball has been keeps bringing those people back. It keeps the season ticket holders coming back, and it's just a special place, man. And you at home, look, people say you're 10 points better at home. I'd like to be 15 points better at home, but 10 would be unbelievable. You shoot the ball a little bit better. Your daily routine is a little bit better. You sleep in your own bed. You just feel more comfortable in there. And we need that for our guys. We need them to feel confident. But our fans, when they get behind them and you hear the roar, and I get a little wacky over there in the sidelines, and the student body, is behind our guys defensively and really trying to drive us to help get a stop. It's a special place to play, man. It really is. It's the best in the CAA. I'll put it up against anybody. And JMU had a great crowd Saturday. I give them kudos to them. They had a great crowd, but it's still not like playing the Trask.
Well, no, you hit it on the head, too, because I've actually talked with several different people about that fact that Trask is unlike any other stadium really in this conference, because I go back to obviously your first couple games as head coach. With that record, I don't know too many other schools in this conference where they're going to show up the way they consistently show up. No, not at all.
None of them will. They won't. They're just, fans can be finicky about it, and throughout this league, if that was the case of Charleston, those folks would be going to a fine and dine restaurant. There's too many good restaurants down there for them to come to a 7:00 game. So that just shows you the difference in our program to other programs throughout this league. If Hofstra had a bad record like us, there'd be about 8 guys there, and that's just the reality of it, because this is a basketball state. These are basketball people in this town, and it's just something special. I don't have a good enough vocabulary to explain it, but it's just different, man. And I've been to a lot of different places. I've been in Cameron. I've been in the Dean Dome. I've been down to Auburn. I've been to all the mid-major little schools around. I played at Akron before. This place has a different little vibe to it inside that arena.
Absolutely, for how small it is too.
Yep.
I mean, and like you said, your attitude, the way you coach, the team has obviously responded, but also the fans.
Yeah.
The fans have responded and have consistently been out there to support
Right.
you guys.
The one thing about our fans, they're prideful, right? They like winning, and that's what makes this job a great mid-major job. I say it's a mid-major plus job. I really do, because I know where our budget's at. I understand our recruiting base. I understand our fan base. I understand our facilities. And those 3 factors are huge when you go out here and you mix it up against other schools. I understand our education. We have several different areas, tracks that you can chase as a student athlete to get an unbelievable degree from here. And so, we can go out and get really good players to come here. And the tradition. I mean, at the end of the day, we've won the conference championship 7 times, and we've been to the tournament and won it 6 different times. No other team in this league can say that. And that is tradition. It was started 20 years ago. The night we beat Northeastern, that team, the 2000 team, which was the first one to hang a banner in this arena, we brought them into the locker room. And it was pretty special, man. It really was. It was just their vibe. They were fired up. Our kids were fired up. It just shows you, it's just a little bit different here, man. And tradition never graduates. It never does. Now, the problem with tradition is guys like myself, guys like our young team, we have to live up to that. And playing the game with a certain level of intensity, defensive mindset, and toughness is what we got to continue to do, because that's what this program was built on. And that's where I'm trying to get this young ball club to over the next 4 to 5 weeks. And I keep writing it on the board. Go out and play like who you are becoming as a team. Like, go be who you are becoming. And that to me is a huge deal, because we're working with intensity. We're working with physicality. I'm not letting them off the hook. We're working with accountability. If you don't make a sprint, guess what? You're back up again. Like, you got to have a level of toughness to play this game. And, that's a big thing. Somebody asked me about winning and losing. Does that matter? And it does, no question. Like, if I'm going to win this job, I got to win some games. And I get
Absolutely,
that.
yeah.
I know what I signed up for. But I'm going to put my blinders on that, because I want this team to understand the process that they're in. And if I can go dive in with them in that process, the rest of that stuff will take care of itself. But I want them to understand how to practice with intensity. I want them to understand how to travel, get off the bus, and get to an arena and really get after it for 45 minutes. Those things are important, because when you go do that in June, July, in summer school, and you really establish who you're going to be as a team, and then you come back in late August, September, October, November, you take those 3 months, you've now started that you've established who you are, and now the rest of that season, they know what to expect. They didn't know what to expect on this 2-game road trip with me, because it's the first one we've done. Now, they knew what to expect on a 1-game road trip with Charleston, because we did some things different and we carried ourselves a certain way. And so this was the first 2-game road swing we had with each other. So, it's just a long process that you go through, and that's why it takes time to build what you want as a coach and what you want as a program. So tick tock, time waits for no one, as my dad would say.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the intensity and the toughness. So if you go back to, that second week of January, you get the job. What is the first thing that pops into your mind when it comes to kind of changing the trajectory of this team and kind of trying to instill something that gets them to turn around and kind of respond the way they have? Accountability. And when I say accountability, like I get put in that seat and I have to make the decisions that I think will help our team. And so I just felt like not letting them off the hook when things got tough, when a sprint got tough, when a defensive drill got tough. We're not moving on. If we can't close a defensive rebound and drill out, there's nowhere to go. I don't care. We're not going anywhere. I'm not going to break. And that's the biggest thing I wanted to instill in them was like, guys, people are going to try to beat us down. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you. They don't care that we've lost 12 in a row. They want to beat us into submission. And like, we have got to get tougher. We got to be more physical on the glass. And so those areas in practice was where like we weren't moving on. Like, this is what we're going to do, guys. And I'm going to hold you to a standard that right now you probably can't reach. But when you reach that standard, you're going to be a pretty good team. And I still do it to this day. Like Friday, I mean, we probably shouldn't have gone live on Friday. Now that I look back on it, but anybody can play Monday morning quarterback. But our guys have got to understand, like, hey, we did not play the way we needed to play at Towson. And so here, excuse me, you got to put Towson behind you and quickly get to JMU. Well, how are you going to game plan for JMU? Well, one is transition defense. They're unbelievable offensive, talented team. And when that ball comes off the glass and we're not making shots, they're coming down at you fast and hard. And so we had to work on transition defense. And our guys got to understand that every single day, this is a grind. Everybody wants a Division I offer. Everybody wants to play Division I basketball. They have no idea what it takes. And we got 3 young freshmen that I got to try to help establish them as good Division I basketball players because they have the talent. There's no question. Marty's been away from the game for a year, so he's now and you know what? But like, I can tell Marty's starting to hit that wall a little bit. He's starting to hit that wall. He's missing some bunnies he wasn't missing back in January, and there again is the mental toughness of this whole process. Jalen's hit a little bad stretch here shooting the basketball. We gotta lift Jalen up and get him to see like, hey man, I don't gotta settle. I can get to the rim here. Mike is now just starting to come into his groove. Jake Boggs goes and gets 8 rebounds against JMU, which is a plus for us. We need him on the glass because of his talent. So that was the biggest thing, was our accountability and then our discipline. Like, when there's a stagger screen set on the baseline, we are tucking and chasing. The second screen we're going to be at the level of, and the guy passing the ball is going to jump to the ball. That's how we're covering it. There ain't no ifs, ands, buts about it. We ain't going to talk about it. You're going to get it done. And if you can't get it done, that baseline will get it done for you. And if you can't figure it out there, you can step slide, and sit down over here by me, because the bench is the greatest teacher in this game. You don't got to holler and scream at kids. Yeah. Just say, hey, look, next guy up, have a seat. And they figure it out. They really do. I mean, guys, that's what makes this a great game, the competition of it, because everybody wants to play. But then when you show them, hey, here's what you're doing wrong, these are the things you need to change, they want to play so bad, they'll make those changes.
Yeah, there's so many people that are ready to step up.
Oh, yeah.
They can't take that time to be like pal on the bench.
No,
they
can't.
They have to learn.
And there's 13 scholarships. And like the other night, I threw Brent in there. Brent's a walk-on with a scholarship right now, but I have no problem throwing Brent in there and starting Brent. I have that much confidence in him. I think there's other players that are better than him, but if I feel like Brent is the guy that has to get something done for us, because at the end of the day, he plays with great energy, he's going to get you an offensive rebound. He's going to get you. I'm just telling you, he's one of the best offensive rebounders I've been around. The guy just goes flying in there without abandon and tips the ball out. I just love the kid's energy. But, you gotta coach your walk-on just as hard as you coach your best player. Everybody's got to have the same level of accountability. And if you're not willing to coach your best player and coach him hard, you're probably going to have some issues throughout your team, and that's what you don't want this time of the year. You want it to be established how we're going to work and how we're going to operate as a team. And so, I jumped all over Jalen the other night because he fouled late, and I didn't want him to foul. We had kind of come up with a strategy. We're starting to foul about the 4-minute mark. and he went flying over the top of the guy, and he's trying to tell the ref he didn't foul, and I got upset with him. But then I had to love on him. I had to take that as a teaching moment, gave him a big old hug, took him out of the game, and then put him right back in. So, we're in the heat of that battle, man, and we're in the heat of teaching, and we're in the heat of trying to get better from a discipline standpoint and accountability standpoint. Sorry I rambled there for a little bit.
Oh, no, that's why you're here, buddy. We love it. But you mentioned kind of that discipline, too, and almost taking it back to the basics, because Jalen's still, too, you mentioned him, he's still just a sophomore.
Yeah, no question.
So, it to me, I feel like these are such vital years for these guys in their basketball careers that if you don't kind of take a step back and go back to the basics and have those at least locked up, it's going to be tough for those kids to have success in the future, right?
No question. And basics to me is every time the ball's passed to you, got to catch and square up. You got to be an offensive threat. And I get on like if we're in shell drill, and it's a typical high school 4-on-4 drill where we're working on positioning as the ball moves. And offensively, a lot of guys just take that off. They just catch the ball and they hold it above their head and move it. And that's one thing we can't do. That's a habit, and that's a level of discipline. And so I'm all over him. Like, he catches it and puts it above his head. You can't play this game with the ball standing above your head. You got to catch and square up every time and be an offensive threat. It's little things like that. It's nuances of the game that, myself as a player, if I didn't have those things, I would have never played college basketball. I would have never set 9 school records. I would have never had a chance to go overseas and play professionally because I just didn't have the talent. I'm 5'8" at best on a good day. I was 172. I won't say where I'm at now, but you gotta be able to handle it. You gotta be able to pass it. You gotta be able to shoot it, and you gotta know how to play the game. And so those are just areas that I'm really trying to emphasize to our guys how important it is. Ball faking is important. We are gonna get zoned the rest of the year because of where we're at shooting the basketball from the 3-point percentage. If we can't shift the zone with a ball fake, then that's a fundamentally sound skill. You can talk about it, but you have to practice ball fakes. And tomorrow when we come back, we're going to practice ball fakes. I mean, at the end of the day, it sounds elementary, but that's what the game is. And if you go back and read a bunch of this Kobe stuff that's been going on the last week and a half, he never got bored with the basics. Impeccable footwork. He could pivot with his right foot. He could pivot with his left foot. He had every ball fake, every shot fake. He could finish with his left hand. He could finish with his right hand. Now, obviously, he was 6'6". He was blessed athletically. Mm-hmm. But when you put those things in that kind of package, you get what you get in Kobe. Same thing with Mike.
Well, yeah, the work ethic,
yeah.
too. I mean, he had teammates that would get pissed off when they would see him go hard in practice because they thought that was their time to relax and kind of cut it.
Kobe was relentless in that pursuit of perfection, probably more so than Michael, I guess, if you look at it, as far as practice and preparing. Jalen really does some of those things. Like, his mindset is, I want to become a professional basketball player at some level. And so, I mean, I came down Saturday morning. Breakfast was at 8:30, and I bet he had been down there 15 minutes already stretching. And he goes through his routine, and he lifts on game days. His body is really starting to take that next step. I think he lifts at 8 a.m. on game days. And so he goes through his little routine. He just, he's so young right now. He's still trying to learn the game. He's pressing a little bit here and there. He wants those shots to go in so bad. But we just got to keep showing him how he can make the game easy for him. That's the one thing you want to do, is give these kids a vision of how easy the game can be. And you don't got to work so hard to make it a tough game for you, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. And you mentioned it too. I mean, it is a 24-hour thing to where, the skill and the talent you're blessed with is one thing, but you can always be researching your opponents, the game. You can always learn, and your brain can always get better when it comes to learning the game, right?
No question.
For a young guy like Jalen, I think, and even the roster in general, is that something you found that is something you want to kind of add, or are they already there in that aspect?
No, I got to continue to add that.
To work with them.
Yeah, so like today is Monday, and we're going to change our routine a little bit. We're gonna go 30 minutes, 35 minutes of skill work with a coach. And so all 11 guys are going to get a workout in today. I'm going to work with Jalen specifically because I want to show him some of his shots, and then I want to show him how he can make the game a little bit easier for himself. They're going to lift with Brad. So they're going to have a floating schedule, through their classes, and they're going to come in and get a 45-minute workout with him. We're going to come through and walk through how we're going to guard Elon this afternoon at 3:45, probably for about 40 minutes. there's some things that Elon does that our guys need to see today and how we're going to guard it, because we're going to change the way we guarded it at their place. And then tonight at 8 o'clock, we're going to go in the film room and they're going to watch film with us. Like, there's where young kids don't understand what it's like to be a Division I player. And on top of all that, they got to eat, they got classwork to do, and they got to sleep. So that's a pretty busy Monday. We'll come back tomorrow at 2:30, and we'll get after it for 2 hours. We're going to get better on ourselves defensively. We're going to cover what Elon does, and we're going to have the right mindset of how we're going to beat Elon. We'll do the same thing on Wednesday, tone it back to probably an hour and 15 at max, because at the end of the day, we only got 9 guys and we got to have legs. And then we'll come in on Thursday, 3 o'clock shoot around, 4 o'clock pregame, and we'll strap it up and see if we've gotten better and see where we're at. But yeah, that's kind of the whole process on a weekly basis.
And you mentioned what Elon does specifically. They can shoot from deep.
I think it's the best 3-point shooting team in our league.
In the conference for sure.
I want to zone some as well, but I know we can't match threes. Like if a team hits 10 threes on us, like Towson, it's going to be tough for us to match that. And that's an Achilles heel of us as a team. So we have to have the right mindset and strategy of, like, we're just not going to give up threes like that. Yeah. We got to run this team off the line. We can recover from twos, but it's going to be really hard to recover from multiple threes. And that's what got us at their place. They went back to back to back threes, and before you know it, they had a 2-point lead, and then we were up 8. We were up 8 at Elon, start the second half, and it just fell apart on us.
Well, and you mentioned obviously the threes, but then on the defensive end, they're one of the best defensive rebounding teams in the conference as well. So
I think Coach Schraggy's doing an unbelievable job with a young ball club in his first year. He's in the same process. He's establishing who he's going to be as a coach, how his team's going to play. You know, I think he's got 1 grad transfer, and they're doing an unbelievable job of recruiting in North Carolina. I mean, you wouldn't believe their offer list. If you look at their verbal commits page, I mean, they're all over the place. But that's his philosophy. We have got to somehow or another create some extra possessions for ourselves. And if you can't, then you got to cut the game in half. And you got to limit the possessions that Elon gets. And that's playing slow basketball. If we got to play slow basketball to grind it out, I got no problem doing that. And, that's one area that we got to be able to control the game and control the way we want to play with our pace.
Well, yeah, and you've mentioned that before, playing in the 60s.
Yeah, I just think that's the number for us, man. Right now, we're at about 68 to 71 points, somewhere in there. Down at Charleston, I think I got to 71, 73. That's a really good night for us. But you know what happened? We got to the rim over and over and over again. They had breakdowns defensively, and we got to the front of the rim. Towson, I thought we settled for threes when we should have drove it. JMU, I know for a fact, we can't take 26 threes. It's too many. We're setting ourselves up for failure if we do that. Like, I know guys say they want to shoot it and they think they can shoot it, but you got to see it go in the hole. And the best way to see it go in the hole is get right to the front of the rim and put it in there. And then you kind of start to feel good about where you're at, and you knock down some open shots then.
Yeah. Well, and then, too, with Elon, I think you guys are kind of similar teams in the sense of your records are a little deceiving. I wouldn't say you guys are as bad as your records look.
No, I agree with you 100%.
When you look at a team like Elon and you see that they're top 5, 6 in the conference in a lot of statistical categories, what is it that isn't working for them that you guys can think you can attack and win that game from?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's where scouting comes in. Our assistant coach is going to be watching those guys today. I think it's transition defense against them. I think they struggle, but at the same time, we didn't do a great job of taking care of the ball this past weekend out in transition, and we took some ill-advised, just kind of quick shot threes, which I'm okay with if we're in a good rhythm. But when we're not in a good rhythm and teams aren't good defensively, you got to drive them. And that's how we took the lead on them, was really putting pressure on them and driving at them. I don't think they handle the pressure well as far as pressing. I think you can turn them over a little bit. I'm anxious. I want to play our zone. I think our zone is halfway decent. But again, I don't want to give guys open looks, and I don't want guys to get comfortable in Trask, because we have seen when you make a couple shots in Trask, you do get feeling good. It's a great shooting gym, and Roland lit us up for 38 in here. So it's just one of those areas I get a little nervous about that. And I think we got to attack them in the post. We have got to go with their 2 bigs. I know Marty can score the basketball down there. I know Amaje can score the basketball down there. He had a great game. This was the game where I felt like Amaje really came out. And I think he had 9 and 9 or maybe 10 rebounds. It was real close at that. I'd have to look at the stats. But He's coming, man. Amaji's coming along. I'm really fired up where he's at this past weekend. We didn't play great as a team, but there were some individual things I can pull out and really showcase and keep motivating and getting guys to play with confidence.
Well, how important is that, too, for a young team, is even when you do lose by double digits, it's pulling those positives to reinforce their confidence and make sure they know.
Critical to this team. The other day we got up from Towson and we showed a film session, defensive. We showed personnel first, so we showed JMU's personnel and what their guys like to do, and then we showed kind of some things of our timing and our spacing offensively, and then I had to come back later that night and still show them, hey guys, you're still doing some good things. Look at these 15 clips. Look at the things you're doing well, because you have to reinforce positivity and you got to show them you are getting better. Because if you just beat on kids and beat them down, like they're gonna fold on you. They're not built yet that mentally tough. You got to go through a lot of adversity to build that mental toughness. And so we got to show the positives. Like tonight, there's going to be about 20 clips in there of good things we did, good things of us driving the basketball. Like Mike drove the basketball, and that's why he ended up with 22 points, because we said, if you drive these guys, they're going to break down and we'll get layups. And Mike did that. Now, collectively, we didn't do that as a group. So, I'll keep watching film on Elon. There's a certain way I want to guard them and change the way we guarded from the last time. And then at the same time, we've got to take away made threes. It's got to be, if they're going to make threes, they got to be over the top of us in tough contested shots without fouling.
Well, yeah, that's going to be, I think, the key. I think you understand that too, and I've already said as much, as chasing them off the three-point line. But then not only that is you want the contested threes, but then you just can't give up second chance opportunities to a team like that.
It's huge, man. It's like I barked all day Monday and I barked all day Tuesday about it's the whole game. Absolutely. And we were preparing for Towson. It's the whole game, guys. And I think that's going to be for us the rest of the year. Like, we have got to be a one-and-done team. We've got to gang rebound. We gave up 15 to Towson and 13 to JMU, and we're going to watch those. Our guys are going to see how they're not putting their body on somebody else. And I told them, this is a contact sport. Like, you don't want to get hit, go play tennis, go play golf. Like, we'll see if we can get you on their rosters. They're playing squads. And we'll use that scholarship for somebody that wants to go hit. We got to go hit people, man. It's a contact sport. That's why we got strength conditioning coaches to build our bodies up. And our young team is still learning that. Marty's close to it. Amaje's still learning it. Jake doesn't have the body yet to go hit, but he's getting better. He's getting better. He's slowly, surely, you're seeing some improvement from him in that area. And, we got to get Mike rebounding. We got to get Jalen rebounding. We got to get BT rebounding, like defensively rebounding. Not so much offensive, but defensive rebounding where we can close possessions down, because we are getting better defensively. Mm-hmm. But when you give teams extra possessions, now you got to go guard again, and that's really hard to do.
Well, I think you guys are one in the conference in block shots.
Are we?
I mean?
Really? Well, that's Mike and Amaje. And maybe even Jake every now and then. And I've told those guys, like the very first day I told Amaje, you ain't rotating over for a charge. It's you rotate over, I want you to go up there and beat it off the glass. And I want him to feel that and feel the confidence I have in him to do that. Mike is an unbelievable vertical athlete. I mean, he's had some major blocks. He had one this weekend where the guy was going to lay it up on the right-hand side of the board. He's got his left hand on this side of the glass. He's ducking his head from the rim. He's got his right hand on this side of the glass, and he still makes a play on it. And it's just his natural ability. I want to take advantage of that. We're like, that's got to be a phase of our game. Because then that tells us up front, if we're good at making some blocks, we can go pressure you a little bit more. Because if we get beat off the bounce, we got that backside help. And that's a phase of defense I want to get better at.
Well, and a lot of those blocks, for you guys, I think a strength leads to that fast-paced transition offense.
Correct.
Right?
And so if you can make a block, now you can get out and create some 3-on-2, some 2-on-1 situations, because what do we need? We need easy offense.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can't grind it out every single possession. And so we need some of those possessions to convert so we can score. Now, what happened at JMU was we got some stops, and then we made poor decisions in transition, which what happens? Shaquem doesn't have the ball sometimes. And so now guys are bringing it that normally aren't bringing it. They're really filling the wing. Shaquem is dumping it off them, and they're laying it up. Now you got them bringing it, trying to make a play, and it's just a little bit too much. And we got to be smart about that this coming Thursday and Saturday.
Yeah, talking about those blocks, you guys are the only team in conference averaging over 4 a game.
Really? Wow. Didn't even know that.
Only 2 teams, too. You and William and Mary. Only
They
2
got 2
teams.
7-footers.
And they, and you
My
guys
man
got it by
Nathan
5
Knight
blocks.
is a pro, man.
Well,
Good
and
gracious,
that
he's
kind of
good.
leads into what, going forward, it doesn't get easier, right? So you're home against Elon, home against William and Mary, but then, at Northeastern, at Hofstra, back home against Charleston. I mean, you look, arguably, those are the top, talent-wise,
Yep.
top 3 teams in the conference.
No
top
question.
3, 4.
They are.
So, I mean, talk about ending on a high note. You guys have that opportunity. Tell me what it's going to take for you guys to kind of capitalize on that.
Playing the way we know how to play, keeping our wits about us and playing smart basketball, continue to get better defensively, and take the next step, which is what we got to do, and then playing the way we want to play with our pace, taking our type of shots. I tell our guys all the time, it's not your shot, it's a Seahawk shot. And so make sure you take a good shot, because all of us in here are counting on you taking a really good, effective shot for us. And so, yeah, this league is tough, man. This league is really good. People have no, I don't know if we get the respect throughout the country from a mid-major standpoint that we should get, because we do have really good players. Joe Cheeley's playing in the G League. Tay, Justin Wright Foreman, the big fella from Charleston last year, Brantley. Those guys are NBA players, like their own NBA rosters.
Oh, there's 2 or 3 now this year too. You obviously just mentioned Knight.
Yep.
What's it going to take for you guys against a guy like that? He's arguably the next guy in that line of names you just mentioned
question.
there. That's going to be in the league, probably.
I haven't gotten to him yet. I know how we played him last time. We can't let him get deep post touches. He's turned himself into basically a point forward, guys. I mean, he's a 6'11" kid that can bring it, take it off a ball screen, shoot behind the 3. He's really, really good at what he's doing. So I gotta kind of wait to hear what our coaches think is probably the best way to play him. But we got to be physical. The one thing I think William and Mary doesn't like is physicality, and we have got to be physical with them. They're a great cutting team. They're a great passing team. Their 2 7-footers can shoot it and pass it. That's what makes them good. So I'll wait to get to them, but it's going to be a one-day prep with those guys. But we got to come up with a great game plan. When
you mentioned the physicality, specifically, I would think that could be an advantage for you guys at the guard position.
Yes,
is being physical with their guards.
Yep.
Put pressure on them.
No question.
Full court, even if you have to.
Yeah,
right?
I want to press them, but we got to make sure we're sharp with our press. We got to be active in it. We were really active at Towson. I was really impressed. We turned our 1-2-2 into what we call diamond, and that means we got on the ball being taken out of bounds, and we trapped the first pass and we trapped the second pass, and we got some steals out of it. Got us back in the game, and cut it to 2. So that is. That's something I want to do. We got to keep playing to our strengths. But again, you got to be smart about it, because you're only at 8 or 9 guys and you got 1 point guard. So, if Gatson gets in foul trouble, which happened at JMU, you put yourself in a little bit of a pickle to try to manage what you got going on.
And say that does happen then, so like you mentioned before, BT toll-free.
Yep.
Is that somebody then that you're going to have to almost rely on, especially just to give Ty those breathers here and there?
Yep.
Is it going to be a combination of him and Akaru going forward?
I think so, yeah. When Shaw's not in it, those 2 guys are the next best available option to help us and get us in the right positions. But again, I got to be smart as a head coach and say, hey, look, I got 4 media timeouts. I got to get Ty out before the 16-minute mark, let him sit through the media, and then as soon as the game starts, throw him back in there. That's going to give you a good 3-minute rest without him even knowing that he's getting it. Mm-hmm. If we get fatigued, I got to use a timeout. I got to be able to be smart about that and manage the game. And there again, we're trying to manage the possessions too, because if you're going to start to play in 72, 74 possession games, right now we just don't have the firepower offensively to do that. And that has not been one of our Achilles heels over the last 2 years. Like, I think we were 1 or 2 in scoring the first 2 years I was here. So it's just something that we've had to adjust to, which is okay. The whole deal at the end of the day is to be 1 point better than the team across from you. Don't worry about how you're playing or your style points or anything like that. Find a way to win the ball game. And you got to do whatever it takes to do that. So if we got to manage possession by possession, we'll do it. We got to have our best players in the game playing major minutes for us, and they got to be fresh and have legs.
Doesn't matter how you get there.
Just get there, man.
I don't know if there's a right way to win.
No, there's not, man. Just win.
Just win, baby, right? So talk about, too, then, obviously we've mentioned Shaquem, and we're going to try to get him on here in the next couple of weeks if that works out. But talk about just And then obviously him, you can kind of start with him, but then maybe let's go down the line with the rest of the freshmen. Talk about, obviously, their contributions have been enormous to this team going, up until now and then going forward. But just talk about what you've seen from Shaquem from when he first got to campus to now, to where you're kind of dependent on him. He's playing over 30 minutes a game.
Right.
He is, I don't want to say he is your team, but he's a big part of what you guys do on both sides of the ball.
Well, let me do this first. Let's look at our roster all together. So you have currently right now Jay Estime's out, who's a junior. Okay, so Jay's going to probably get this year back, and so he would be a redshirt junior next year, but he's really a senior.
Yeah.
Ty Gatson will be a senior next year, and Mike will be a senior.
Yep.
So really, we don't have a senior on our roster.
No.
All right. Slide down another spot. Jalen Sims is a sophomore. Okay, so he'll be a junior next year. True sophomore. Yeah. Marty is a redshirt junior or redshirt sophomore, so next year he'll be a redshirt junior. So those two guys move into that class. You got your 3 freshmen there. John Bowen is a junior, right? And so it's just a weird combination of young guys.
Yeah.
Brian Topher is really a redshirt sophomore. He went to JUCO and sat out his first year because he dislocated his ankle. He played last year as a redshirt freshman, and now he's playing for us as a redshirt sophomore. So he'll be a redshirt junior with Marty and those guys. So just to go with what you originally said, Shaquem came here. We knew we were going to get Gatson back at some time. Obviously, we had Kai at the point, and we had built a lot of things around Kai. And he was playing major minutes, and all we wanted to do was bring Shy along, bring him along. But then you kept watching practice, and you kept saying, you know what, Gatson's not here, so this is a great opportunity for him to develop. And Mike was playing strictly the 2, BT was playing the 3, Sims was playing the 3 and 4 a little bit, and we were playing 4-around-1 basketball, Marty and Amaje down there on the blocks. Mm-hmm. So it just kind of like slowly evolved, like, okay, we need him on the floor. Like we need him on the floor with Kai. And because he does have some combination basketball to him. All right. Then you kind of move the Kai stepping away from the team and turning professional. And you look around the room and you go, all right, Taji's coming back, but he's not where he needs to be. But he's a really, really good shooter. He's an offensive threat off the ball. So then we throw Shy into the heat of the battle, and it's been a major stepping stone for him in his career and really trying to evolve and learn the game. You know, in high school, man, he was just a better athlete than everybody, right? And he had Dayron Sharp with him. He had some other really good players. They did not lose a game his last 2 years. I think he said maybe they lost his freshman year, but they didn't lose the last 3 years. So he understands winning. He knows what it feels like to win big and play on a national scene. And so the ball screen coverages of how people have covered him, he's really learning the nuances of how to read a ball screen. There's 3 levels to that. You know, there's the guy guarding you, there's the ball screen defender, and then there's 3 guys on the backside. I call it 3 levels. You got to have your antennas up. He's learning how to do that. But at the same time, we can't give him but so much because you just want him to relax and play and let his natural ability take over. He's got a great mid-range game. Obviously, you saw at the College of Charleston, he can go by anybody in this league because Zeb Jasper is the best on-ball defender in this league. And he went by him anytime he wanted to at whatever pace. And he had a big smile on his face. He's happy-go-lucky. His hair is flying all over the place. So, you know, we want to keep pushing the envelope with him, but we got to be smart about it. We can't give him too much that will bog him down, and then he's thinking and he's not reacting. This is a reaction sport. You can think the game and see the game, but you got to be able to react. And so his development is going to be huge for this program. I'm working really, really hard to try to be his coach because I think I can really help him. I'm a traditional point guard as far as the nuances of the game, and I think I can share a lot of that with him and really get him to an elite level in this league.
Yeah, he's got a chance to be.
He does.
Rookie of the year for sure.
No, he does. Now, you look at the guard in Northeastern, Tyson Walker, who shout out to New Hampton Prep. He went to New Hampton Prep where I went. You know, he's a really, really good, smart, heady basketball player. And those 2, along with Gibson at Towson, who's a really heady guard. Those 3 guys, man, and there's probably some other guys out there, they've really stepped up for their teams across the board as far as being freshman point guards playing major minutes.
Well, Walker's a New York kid?
Yeah, I think Christ the King maybe.
Yeah.
And then he went to New Hampton.
Yeah.
And then he signed there at Northeastern. At the end of the day, Bill Cohen can evaluate, and Bill Cohen can flat out coach, man.
Well, when they were here, he didn't look like a freshman.
He did not. He did not. When Roland went out of the game early, he was a major piece of what they're doing.
Absolutely. And Roland is just, on another level when it comes to scoring the basketball. But I think it was really evident right away with Shaquem that he could go by anybody.
Yep.
I mean, he has that ability and that speed, and it's kind of the way I almost like look at it as like a football player to wear that twitch, that quick step, that first step.
Yep.
For a guy like Shaquem and how he plays, I think that's crucial for him and his development because, like you said, you can only tell somebody so many things and tell them so many times before you have to experience it and do it yourself.
And that's what
or it's not going to click.
Yeah, and that's what he's going through right now. I mean, you're right. I knew second half we made a little run on Carolina here, and Shy has the ball in transition in his right hand, and he gets right to the right elbow, and he's going full speed, and he stops and pops, and he goes by Cole Anthony, and I said to myself, I was like, all right, that's different than what I've seen. Like, that's different right there. And so, him continue to build his body, build his conditioning level, you're just going to see him take leaps and bounds. You make your biggest jump from freshman to sophomore year, and I think you'll see that. Then obviously people will game plan towards him, and they'll then have to start to make adjustments, just like Grant Riller has done and Roland has done. Those guys, all of us are game planning for them.
Well,
We're trying to give them different looks.
That's something too. I don't want to knock Kai, but I feel like that was something that Shaquem just witnessed with Kai, and Kai kind of struggled with it.
He did.
Because that was I think game plan number one going against you guys coming into this season was try to force him to either shoot or just get the ball out of his hands.
No question.
Right? So for Shaquem, it's going to be he just witnessed that with Kai.
Yep.
So how does he respond when that happens to him next year?
I think it's our responsibility as coaches to make sure we're putting him in the right places to be successful, because we know what other teams are going to try to do. I mean, that's our job. Like, we come to work every day saying, okay, how do you think they'll play Shy? How do you think they'll do this? And so that's our job next year, to really keep him balanced and keep him understanding what we're trying to do. And then again, we got to go put good players around Shaquem Phillips. It just can't be Shy. And I told our guys the other night, no disrespect to Shy, but I looked at our play. I was like, he ain't that good. Like, he ain't that good, right? He is good, but he ain't that good. No one man is going to make our team. We can have really good players across the board, and that's why I looked at him. I was like, we just didn't play how we've been playing. We didn't play with a sense of urgency. We didn't play with a level of toughness. And so I whipped around a lot. I was like, he ain't that good to be that. Now he does help us a lot. Don't get me wrong. So I think recruiting is critical. We have 3 scholarships in this class, and that is going to be critical to go get. And I hate to say it, but we got to get some grown men. Like, we have got to go get some dudes from the junior college standpoint, maybe a transfer, to help these young guys continue to grow. And if it's just for 1 year, it's for 1 year. It's become the landscape. Graduate transfers have become the landscape, but you got to make the right decisions when you're taking kids. You really do. You got to really evaluate them as people. Can they live up to your standards and your culture? Because there's the one thing I want here is I want great culture, and you have to work on your culture every single day. Like, today is a culture day. Like, I told our guys, hey, this is kind of an off day. Yesterday was a full off day, but this is kind of going to be an off day, but it ain't an off day. You're going to work for 35 minutes, you're going to lift, you're going to watch film, and we're going to walk through. So that's kind of what an off day is in the league. Guys will get their shots up. You won't practice. And so that's culture. That is it's dynamic, it's ever evolving, and I just want to have guys that can really rise to the occasion from the toughness standpoint and adversity standpoint and be able to battle through. And the other 2 guys, man, Amaje Dodd, what a process he's going through right now. He comes in every single day. He gets lathered up, guys. Like, you hear guys talk about getting a good sweat. Amaje Dodd comes to work every day. Last Tuesday, like, it was not fun. Our guys it was the first time they looked at me and they were like on the baseline and they're about to run a sprint and they're like, come on, coach, let up, man, let up. And that's where I knew I couldn't let up. I could not get all. I had to press the envelope to get them to understand this is what we're going to do every single day. And he was the voice. He was working hard. Now, was he making mistakes? Yeah. Was he missing some blockouts? Yeah. But, like, he worked, and that's why I rewarded him with the start against Towson. And I talked to Marty about it a little bit, and I told Marty I want to throw Amaje a bone because I think he's taking that next step. His skill level has got to get better. He knows that. His understanding has got to get better. But at the end of the day, his natural ability is to leave the floor, is to block shots, is to be just a warrior down there, a physical brute a bull in a china case, and that's what we want to turn him loose to do, and let him knock some people around. Because if he hits you now, I'm just telling you, I've had the pad on him. He's a man, and he doesn't even know it yet. Yeah, that's the crazy thing about it. He doesn't know yet. And Devontae was in the same boat. I mean, Devontae didn't know how strong he was going to be or how tough he was going to be until he got to his senior year.
Well, and I would say, athletic-wise, there's times when Amaje, as a freshman now, may be the best athlete on the court at times.
I agree because he can run when he wants to, when he's fresh. When he gets fatigued, that's when he struggles. He can leave the floor. He's got great timing on blocking shots. Yes. And I ain't talking about blocking at the rim. If it's up at the white glass, he can go get it. The white box, he can go get it.
His second jump is
and it's powerful.
Crazy too.
It's powerful. Like he bobbled a ball at JMU, and I think he got so excited because he knew he was about to rip it down. And he just, as he caught it, he started to go up and he bobbled it out of bounds. But it was the first time like he knew he made the mistake and he had a smile on his face. See, previously he had been beating himself up about that. He's like, I got to do so good. I got to do so good. It's like, hey, man, you're going to make some mistakes. And he just tapped his chest. He said, my bad. And Brian Topher had made a great pass to him. So he's in that process. But he comes every day. He goes through the same stretching routine. He works his butt off in the weight room. He works on his skill work, and our coaches are working with him to give him the right kind of right, which is the best move for him. He gets a little bobbled up in there, but I'll tell you what he's done. He's really catching the ball in the post and trying to throw it out to his teammates and find open shooters, which is a great thing. Now, I kind of want him to go power it up and put his body on people, but you know what? I'm not going to knock him for trying to find his teammates and get us a good look. So he's in a great place right now. Jake Boggs is, in the last 3 weeks, really just come along. Jake is ultra talented. There's anybody on our roster that's got a major upside, he does. He's got great length. He can handle it. He can shoot it. He does see the game and understand it. But Jake's mindset of accountability and discipline were lacking. And he's been able to get by with it because he's been that much more talented than everybody else. And so that's one thing I've tried to challenge him on. I want to coach him hard, but I also want to have an open relationship with him because I do know he knows the game. And there's times I've had to jump on him and put him on the line because he'll mumble under his breath a little bit or get ticked off. But I jumped on him at the JMU game, and guess what? He had 0 rebounds. He finishes with 8. And I told him, I was like, you ain't got a rebound. Like, are you gonna go get on the glass? If not, go sit up in the bleachers, buy a ticket. And that, I can be a little sarcastic sometimes, but that would challenge kids because I think when I continue to talk with Jake and continue to build my personal relationship with Jake, I think he knows how much I care and how much I believe in him. 3 months ago, I was telling Jake the same thing I told him the other night. You're the most talented guy on our roster, but you got to work, son. You got to grind it out. You got nuances of the game you got to get better at. But I believe in you more than you believe in yourself right now. And I've stayed with that with him. And you can see, I think he made 4 threes this weekend. He made a big 3 against Northeastern. He's coming. It's slow. It's not where we want him to be. I mean, he grabbed a rebound at JMU at the free throw line, relaxed just for a second, didn't chin it, didn't be aggressive with it, and they knocked it away from him. And I pulled him right out of the game, talked to him right there on the spot, and turned around and sent him right back in the game. It's just those teaching moments that I got to keep doing with him because 3 years from now, that core guys, maybe even next year or the year after, you want to be ready to win a championship. When Jalen's a senior, and so they'll be juniors. So that's kind of where we want to try to get to. That's the big picture. But it ain't fun when you go on the road and those things don't happen. That process, being in it, it's just tough to deal with sometimes.
I feel with Jake at times, it's the way he plays. It's like sometimes he doesn't realize he's 6'7".
He has no idea. I mean, you got to think about 4 years ago, guys. He was 5'9", 6 foot, somewhere in there.
Still has the mind and the mentality of a guard, which is going to pay off for him in the long run.
Yep.
But he's got to realize, there's times he's one of the biggest guys on the court.
No question.
He's got to kind of play like that.
And he does. He's got to get better defensively of guarding smaller guys because people are driving him. And he's getting his hands in the cookie jar and fouling a little bit. So he's got to keep his space. And what he doesn't understand is how long he is.
Yes.
So he can be a little bit farther off you than most individuals, and he can challenge shot steal with his length.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
that's just him learning, man. Him learning the game and really understanding who he is as a person. And then he'll make a big jump in the weight room this summer because we're gonna train. We're gonna train hard. We're gonna train physical, and that will pay off for him, down the road.
Now, who do you think has been the biggest surprise on the roster? Like coming into the season, like you didn't necessarily say like Shaquem was like the go-to guy or Jalen.
I tell you what, early on, the adjustment Brian Tolfree's made as far as how he's playing. You know, Brian came from a junior college league where it was a good league, and he was averaging 16 a game. He was a redshirt freshman, so he has 3 years with us. He comes here and was not particularly shooting the ball great and hadn't quite found his niche or role. And then we finally got him totally bought in on being a great defender. I think he can be an all-league defender in this league, like maybe defensive player of the year in the league. That's the type of talent he has. But at the same time, offensively, he's found a little niche for us. He can get to the rim. He can finish with his right hand. He's our best post feeder to get Marty the ball. He can really get paint touches and create for others inside the paint touch. And he's now settled in to where he also can pull up and make his 15-footer. Or he can pivot out and position himself to take a little 8 to 9 foot fadeaway, which I'm good with because he's been working on it. So I just think he's been a huge surprise for us, and he does have a level of toughness. He's got some what we call dog. He's got a little bit of dog in him, man, where he wants all the smoke. Now sometimes I tell him, hey, don't bite off more than you can chew right now, but like at the same time, I want our guys to be confident. If there's one thing he is, can be a little overconfident sometimes, and I have to live with that a little bit. But I want our team. You got to roll out there knowing you're going to win, or you're one of the better players on the floor. Like, you can't be second guessing yourself out there, and that's the next step as a collective group we got to take once we start to gain our confidence and do all the little things. Those things start to add up for us.
Yeah, confidence is half of it for
no question. It's all of it, man. It really is. Like we battled against Hofstra, and that gave us confidence to beat Northeastern. It really did.
Absolutely.
The confidence we gained by beating Northeastern gave us the confidence to go down to Charleston and win, which we haven't done a day. They had not been beat during the day since 2016 by anybody. Yeah. We had not beat them at all. So we beat Northeastern and Charleston in, 5 days of practice, 5 days of trying to change things. And that's a big thing I'm trying to sell about myself is if you give me the time and you give me the time to develop and put a full system in and put a full game plan in how I want to play, how I want to train, like the sky can be the limit and I can get us back to where this program deserves to be and where it's supposed to be. And that's 1 or 2 or 3 in this league and trying to win a championship year in and year out.
Every year, yeah, absolutely.
And then to maybe wrap up a little bit here.
Sure.
What's the team goals, do you think? Like, I know you talked about getting to that 6th seed. Is
Yep.
that the main goal?
I think so. Like, what you want to try to do is you want to try to get to 6. That gets you a bye. And so from there, you only have to be good for 3 days. Now, it's really tough to win 4 days in a row in the CAA. It's never been done before. Not to say that it can't be done, but it's really, really tough. And so you want to try to stay away from that. That's the vision of giving our guys a goal to shoot for. Our first goal was we wanted to win the conference championship. We said that from day one. Well, obviously, that's out the window, okay? And that's an unrealistic goal. So what's the next realistic thing? Is that can we get from, I think we were in last place when I took this thing over. We had a chance to get to 7th on Saturday. So that was really, this is our first obstacle that we've run into. So we took it on the chin. Now, can we get back up off the mat and still chase for that 6th seed? Inside of that vision is getting better every day. Like not missing an opportunity to get better defensively. Our numbers are not great defensively. Like JMU shot 50% in the second half on us. You can't beat people shooting 50% on you. You just can't do it. 13 offensive rebounds. It's like those little things, man. I have got to get us to where our guys understand that we got to hold people to 41%, period. First half and second half. And if you can hold them to 39 to 40, you're a heck of a defensive ball club. And so that process is going on as well, us getting better in man-to-man defense. Then us understanding the game plan, right? This is another victory, like understanding how we want to play, how we want to guard people, how we want to play offensively against people. There's another way to win inside this whole process. But then at the end of the day, you got to protect home court. You got to win at home, man. Like you said earlier, we got 5 out of these 7 at home. Like, we're going to be in every single game. If we show up and we play with a level of toughness, we play with a level of togetherness and grittiness and defensive-minded, we're going to be in the game. And then, obviously, we got to play smart. We got to close games out and show that we can win close ball games, because that's one thing we haven't done in the 3 years I've been here. We haven't not won close ball games, and we got to be able to do that. And then you want to go into the tournament after those last 3 home games feeling really good about who you are, knowing that, hey, we got nothing to lose, boys. Everybody else in front of us has everything to lose because they've had really good years, and we want to go in there with an underdog mentality and an upset mentality because we got nothing to lose. At the end of the day, we have nothing to lose. Let's put a smile on our face. Let's go have some fun with it. Let's go enjoy the tournament. We're going to be in Washington, D.C., and let the chips fall where they fall. And then after that, obviously, then we can step away from basketball and try to figure out, what's the next step for this program. I'm going to work day in and day out to make it really tough for this administration, Jimmy, and everybody that works with Jimmy and our president to make it really hard on them to say, hey, this is not our guy. We can find somebody else better. And that's my goal, man, because I just know after 22 years of being in this business, I know what good mid-major basketball looks like, and this is a really, really good job. And so I want to show them that I'm capable of doing that. Jimmy came on a trip with us this past weekend, and I want him in our locker room. I want him in our film session. I want him at our team meal. I want him all the way in with us to watch me in every single little scenario. I got a great relationship with him, and it's growing and it's building. I feel really comfortable around him, and he is all about the student athlete, and that's what really drives me to know that he's the right guy that I want to work for. And so, I met with our chancellor on the day after everything went down, and just to hear him say, I want to play fast, I want to play with intensity, and I want to play with precision, that got me fired up. Like Dr. Sartorelli he wants to win basketball games, and that's what you need. You got to have people that want to support, and I want to work for people like that because I just know that my passion, my energy, I can really, really dive into this program, build a great staff to help our players, and recruit at a high level to get this place back to where it needs to be.
Absolutely.
That's my self-pitch right there. You like that?
Yeah.
You said make it hard on the administration. I say you're making it easy.
Well, I hope I'm making it easy. I'd love for them in 2 weeks. We have a couple wins in a row. They're like, hey, this is our guy, man. And we go in that direction. That would even be better, especially for recruiting. Because right now I'm trying to call guys and work on them a little bit, and they're like, all right, yeah, I'll take a look at it if you're the coach. But we'll get there though. We'll get there.
I think you got a lot of good things going for
Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. Appreciate
you. Thank you guys, man. I appreciate your support and having me in here. It's been fun, man. I like talking, as you can tell.
Oh yeah, we love talking with you, man. I know Mike sends his best, but I'm sure we'll have you on again, even if it's after the season or whenever. We'll try to get you on again to kind of wrap things up. But this was another episode of Hawktalk with Easy and the Beards. Coach Burke, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate you. I'm Easy, Beard 2.
Signing out. This episode was brought to you by Beard Number 1, Michael Barnes, on Twitter at BSZeusBS. Me, Beard Number 2, Avery Ferry at Avery Ferry on Twitter. And then also Elijah Mize, known as Easy, at Sports Guy Eli on Twitter. And let's not forget the new guy bringing you our video for this podcast, Jordan Robinson. You can follow him on Twitter at JPicante.